Marc Spears here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Marc?
I'm better than the Warriors.
Yeah. Well, let's start with that.
And I just came from a knee surgery, but I'm okay. I'm moving.
Okay, very good. Now that's the way we start a Honda Insider Report. There we go. He's coming out with his own, reporting on your own status. Marc Spears here on the show. So
I'm day to day.
You spoke with Curry after last night's game where they called it, a strained adductor? Is it a groin injury? What's going on with him, Marc?
Yeah, it's a groin injury. After the game in the locker room, he was walking very gingerly, very slow. And I've never seen him in all the years living in Oakland with him around, him in a locker room for so long. His mother and his shoe guy and a couple of his friends were waiting for him, his agent. He was there for at least 90 minutes after the game, just kind of, taking everything in, getting treatment. And I was able to get him as he was walking out. And the one thing is, look, we're used to him, Rich, having ankle injuries, having knee injuries. This is a groin injury. This is a new injury for him. So he was telling me, look, if it was an ankle, I'd have an idea how long I'd be out. But with a groin, he's never had this before. So while the Warriors are not expecting it to be a long-term injury, I do expect him to miss games and be cautious because he's not sure how he's supposed to feel when he's right.
And so last night's loss, if you even want to call it that, I mean, it wasn't even close.
Oh, man. The Bucks got their number for some reason, man. If you look back, this is a new thing with the Bucks. I think their athleticism and length is a good counter for them.
Okay, so let's get into this a little bit here. Because I've already given the trophy to the Warriors. What date was it, Chris Brockman, when I did it on the show?
October 30th.
Yeah, October 30th. I don't know if you missed that ceremony, Marc, but
I was there.
Okay, yeah, in spirit.
Yeah.
I'm serious. How should we view this loss last night? Then
I mean, last year, the Bucks. It wasn't as bad, but they beat them in Golden State, and Giannis got the better of Durant. Even as great as Durant is, and he's always played well against the Warriors. And if I'm other NBA teams, I start looking at those Bucks games because it's their athleticism and their length that the Warriors seem to have trouble with. I mean, the Bucks might have more length than anybody in the league, and so there's a small sample size, but it's an interesting sample size. Look, it's a long ways away to the finals. Do I think the Bucks are going to get there? They have a shot. I really like Toronto better right now. I like Boston better, but they're one of the teams in the mix. And if for some reason they were going to, match up with the Warriors, I mean, yes, it'd be hard to beat them 4 times, but the Warriors would have a lot to have to figure out from a length and athleticism standpoint because what the Bucks have is definitely a menace to them.
Marc Spears of the Undefeated right here on the Rich Eisen Show and the Honda Insider Report. Yes, you said that other teams should take a look at the Bucks tapes because of their athleticism and length. There's only one Giannis, though, and the Bucks have
lies the problem.
Right, the Bucks have him. Would you say, with I guess 1/8 of the season gone by, that he's your front runner for MVP in the league? Marc.
I'll give you an odd name.
Okay.
Kyle Lowry. I mean, they have the best record in the league. He's averaging a double-double. He's averaging 17 and 11, as well as 5 rebounds. He obviously has dealt with a lot of turmoil up there, so perhaps there's some sentimental value to that choice as well. But the way he's helped this kind of not only be a seamless transition from Kawhi to DeRozan, but he's vice versa. But he's kind of pushed them to a higher level with Kawhi. And I've been hearing whispers of Steve Nash kind of season. It's probably too early for that. That makes him uncomfortable to hear that. But he's my early pick right now.
Interesting. And that's your latest piece on theundefeated.com. Kyle Lowry promises not to get too emotional when DeRozan and Casey return to Toronto as Dwayne Casey, the former coach, the reigning coach of the year, returns with the Pistons. So you say it's not really Kawhi in Toronto; it's Lowry is what we should be looking at 11-1, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times these guys that don't do backflip dunks and crossover threes and oftentimes get overlooked. But he's leading the league in assists. He's scoring. He's making everybody better. He's helped Kawhi have a seamless transition. Is it flashy? Are we going to see him in a highlight reel? Probably not. But to average like 18, 11, and 5 and knock down threes and make other players better, there's deeper statistics that if you really look behind the screen, to me it shows that he's having a phenomenal season.
Well,
and you got the record to boot. I mean,
right.
11-1 is nothing to sneeze at.
So let's return to the Western Conference in the few minutes we have left here. The Thunder, in the earlier part of the TNT doubleheader last night, beat the Harden and Paul back on the floor Rockets by 18. What's up with the Rockets, Mark? What do you think?
I mean, look, I know their defense is bad right now, but 80 points? That's what they scored, right?
They did, and Westbrook wasn't even in the game. Missed his second straight game for Oklahoma City.
It's confusing. I mean, can't Harden and Chris Paul just kind of do that in their sleep? I mean,
right, yeah.
Look, the Trevor Ariza loss was huge, but I didn't expect it to have, this much of an after effect. He's kind of like where he was there, Draymond Green. I mean, there's so much he could do, and there's so much that people didn't pay attention to. He would guard the point guards as they were bringing the ball up the court. He rebounds. He does all the little things, but that isn't the reason why their offense was bad yesterday. It's a very curious, confusing situation, and I'm sure the Warriors are sitting back like, whoa. We didn't expect this. They actually play next week, next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting game coming up, and I'm sure the Warriors would love nothing more to go in there and drill them. But they'll probably be going out there without Steph Curry. I expect Draymond Green to be back Monday against the Clippers. And by next Thursday, I expect Sean Livingston to be back as well. So that matchup in Houston will be very intriguing for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, D'Antoni called the offense anemic last night. And then there's the Celtics. Yeah. And then there's Boston, which would have had to pull one out of their duck boat last night to force overtime in Phoenix. And win that game. How concerned are you about the Celtics? Kyrie said, don't worry, we got it. Brad Stevens, we're going to get it. And what say you, Marc Spears?
Well, my concern level is not as bad as it is for Houston. Mm-hmm. They'll figure it out. The Utah game will be interesting with Gordon Hayward going back. But I am surprised that they're playing like this. I saw them in the preseason last year in Charlotte, and they were outstanding and amazing, and this was before Gordon got hurt. So, I mean, do they have just too many cooks? You know what I mean? Like too many guys that need the ball? But it's early, and we got to remember they still got to get used to playing with this group of guys. They got more air for Mars in the Eastern Conference. I think they'll be fine, but what they run the risk of if they continue to have a bad start is, look, as we see right now, Milwaukee's the truth. Milwaukee is good, and Toronto is good. So what if Boston falls to the third seed? Like, you do not want to be – one of those three teams is going to be in a third seed, and it's not going to be an envious position. And in fact, Rich, if we look at it, the number 2 seed might be the best seed in the Eastern Conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the number 1 seed is, the best seed because those 2 and 3 in the second round, it's going to be a battle royal, man. And whereas the team that's number 1, they'll probably coast to the Eastern Conference Finals. So now there's a much stronger presence as we haven't seen in a long time in the Eastern Conference to get the number 1 seed to get away from that second round matchup. And Boston's going to make it very difficult for themselves to do it, even though it's early.
And last one for you. I know, as you mentioned now, you say that the Bucks, they appear to be for real, and we got 2 9-win teams in the Nuggets and Blazers in the West. But if I did not ask you about the Lakers, I would have my host card removed from me, Marc Spears. So,
well, I'm going to see them tomorrow night.
Okay.
So in Sacramento, what they did with Tyson Chandler, like, keep an eye on stuff like that. Like, I think that anytime some veteran gets let go or asks for a buyout or something like that, they're going to be a candidate the same way the Warriors have been in recent years and Houston has been. And when the trade deadline passes and there's always 2 or 3 good veterans sitting there that could help a team, they're going to add pieces there.
Give me a couple names that you might be targeting on that front right now, Marc. What is it?
I haven't finished my coffee yet, Rich. So that part of my brain hasn't woken up yet.
Okay.
But next time I'll be ready for that.
Okay. Hey, look, you're off for knee surgery. I get it. No coffee. So please continue your thought then. Go ahead.
But no, the thing I think about them, and maybe I'm cavalier about it, Rich, they got 4 years with LeBron James, right? I think that they should move some of the young talent and get a star. I mean, I haven't heard their name in the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes. I don't think he wants to go there. Dare I say, should they try to get a John Wall? You know, Kawhi seems fine, so you're not going to get him. But I just think if your window with LeBron is 4 years, I don't know, man. Probably good. I'm not the GM, but I can't be patient with that. I'm doing like the Yankees. I'm going for broke now. I'm making a move now to try to make that team a contender. And even with as great as the addition is to just pick up for nothing a Tyson Chandler, it doesn't make the Warriors shaking their boots at all.
I know. Isn't it amazing, Marc, that the whole idea when LeBron signed, he's like, I'm not doing a series of 1-year deals with options. I'm giving you 3+1. So let's all just be patient.
Like, and now, know what it is. And look, even Michael Jordan at some point turned the other way as a player. I remember seeing him in Washington. We never see any Washington highlights, Rich. Why? Because he wasn't great then. It was at the end. I remember Rashawn Leonard blocking his shot and standing over him on the floor. And I think it was the first. Rashawn Leonard, don't be mad at me. That's my boy. That might have been the first block shot of his career. You know, he was a three-point shooter. And so in 4 years, I mean, look, maybe LeBron's a robot. He'll never, digress. But I think the Lakers need to be aggressive now in trying to get a championship contending team around them.
Marc, love our chats, man. Love your work. Check it out on The Undefeated, and appreciate the time. Let's talk down the line.
Always a pleasure, brother. Stay safe down there.
You too. Thanks. I appreciate it. Marc J. Spears, ESPN on Twitter. I follow him. You should as well.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.